Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My beloved brothers and sisters, today I want to share with you something profound, something simple, yet often overlooked. We always ask, how do I bring barakah into my home? How can I attract rizq, wealth, peace and goodness into my life? And sometimes the answers are closer than we think. Even the animals around us can be a means of blessings, or sometimes hardship. Let's begin. The cat is one of the most beloved animals in Islam, and it holds a very special place in the heart of the Prophet Muhammad. In fact, one of the Prophet's close companions, Abdur Rahman ibn Sakhar, is famously known by his nickname Abu Hurairah, which means father of the kittens. He was given this name because he used to carry and care for a small kitten wherever he went. This itself is enough to show how our beloved Prophet and his companions viewed cats, not as mere animals, but as creatures of mercy, dignity and purity. The cat in Islamic tradition is known to be fatahir, pure. Its presence in a Muslim home is not only permissible, but it also symbolizes cleanliness and harmony. In fact, the Prophet allowed cats to drink from his ablution water. He never scolded or chased away a cat. This tells us something powerful. Islam is not a religion that ignores the small things. Even the smallest act of kindness to a cat can carry weight on your scale of deeds. There's a narration where the Prophet said, "A woman was punished in hell because of a cat which she had confined until it died. She did not give it food to eat or water to drink, nor did she free it so that it could eat the insects of the earth." This hadith clearly shows that even neglect of a simple animal can lead to serious consequences in the sight of Allah. Now think about the reverse. If harming a cat leads to such punishment, then imagine the reward for caring for one. Many righteous people from our history have testified to the blessings that came into their homes because they looked after stray cats. Some scholars would share how, during hard times, they kept feeding cats with whatever little food they had, and not long after, Allah opened the doors of sustenance in ways they could not imagine. You see, when you show mercy to the creation, the Creator shows mercy to you. Cats are naturally clean animals. They clean themselves, they don't spoil the home, and they tend to sit quietly without causing disturbance. They don't create spiritual filth, and they are not harmful. This is why, unlike dogs, which have purification rules in Islam, cats can roam freely in the home, sleep on the bed, drink from our utensils, and still be considered clean. The Prophet said about cats, "They are not impure, they are of those who go around among you." This means they are part of the environment of the home, and not something to be feared or shunned. Moreover, the cat brings a psychological peace into the household. Many people suffering from anxiety, loneliness, or sadness have found comfort in the soft purring of a cat. They sit by your side quietly, giving you a sense of companionship. This emotional peace is also a form of rizq. Not all wealth comes in money. Sometimes it comes in the form of calmness in the heart, a feeling of being loved, or a reason to smile. A cat can be a source of that, especially for someone living alone or going through hardship. Now, if a person keeps a cat and treats it well, feeding it, keeping it clean, allowing it comfort, they are rewarded for every bit of kindness. Even when you place a bowl of food for a stray cat in your street, Allah records that as charity. The Prophet told us of a sinful man who was forgiven by Allah simply because he gave water to a thirsty dog. If this is the reward for kindness to a dog, an animal which we are generally advised to keep outside our prayer areas, then imagine the reward for mercy to a cat, an animal the Prophet himself loved. The presence of a cat also trains the heart. It teaches patience, routine, and care. You have to look after its food, clean its litter, make sure it is well. In that process, your soul becomes softer. You become more nurturing, more compassionate. These are not small things. These are qualities that elevate you in the sight of Allah. Our religion is not about grand actions only, it's about sincerity in the small ones. And if caring for a simple creature like a cat can mold your heart into becoming more merciful, then know that Allah is guiding you toward His mercy. So, my dear brothers and sisters, do not underestimate what the presence of a cat can do in your life. It can be a door to sustenance, a means of reward, a test of your patience and a key to inner peace. Treat them well, and perhaps through that mercy Allah will grant you a mercy far greater than you imagined. The chicken may seem like a simple, ordinary animal, but in Islam, even simplicity has deep value. The Prophet Muhammad lived a life of moderation and humility, and he encouraged the Ummah to adopt a lifestyle that was both sustainable and beneficial. Chickens, in many Muslim households throughout history, have played a quiet yet powerful role in bringing sustenance, self-reliance, and even spiritual value to the home. When you keep a chicken, you're not just raising an animal. You're taking part in a system that teaches you consistency, discipline, and gratitude for Allah's provisions. Chickens are a source of both food and income. They produce eggs regularly, which is a symbol of continuous rizq. One egg might not seem like much, but think about the bigger picture. It is a gift from Allah that keeps coming day after day. This kind of daily provision is barakah. It's not about the quantity, it's about the consistency and sustainability of the blessing. You may not receive large amounts of money at once, but when Allah blesses your home with regular sustenance through something like chickens, that's a silent form of wealth many overlook. There is something very spiritual about eating from what your own hands have raised. The Quran reminds us repeatedly about the blessings of earning through halal and pure means. When a family raises chickens and benefits from their eggs or meat, they are living off what they have taken care of with their own hands. This instills a deeper level of gratitude. You witness the effort involved in feeding them, protecting them from harm, and ensuring they are healthy. When the food reaches your plate, it's no longer just a meal, it's a result of hard work, patience, and Allah's mercy. Chickens also promote a connection with nature. In today's fast-paced life, where people rely entirely on supermarkets and factory farming, many have lost that connection to how food is produced. But in a home that raises chickens, even children begin to understand the cycle of life, the value of animals, and the importance of caring for creation. They learn that food doesn't just appear. It is a blessing from Allah that must be treated with respect. And when you raise your children with this mindset, you are cultivating a generation that is grateful, conscious, and grounded in Islamic values. Another amazing aspect of keeping chickens is that it reduces waste. Chickens can eat leftover food, vegetable scraps, and grains that might otherwise be thrown away. This is perfectly in line with Islamic teachings, which emphasize that we should not waste. The Prophet said, "Do not waste water, even if you perform ablution on the banks of a flowing river." If even water, the most abundant element, must not be wasted, then food, which is directly linked to rizq, must be preserved and respected. Chickens contribute to that cycle of barakah by turning waste into sustenance. There's also a practical benefit in terms of financial savings. When a household has chickens that produce eggs regularly, that reduces the need to buy them. Over time, these small savings can become significant. More importantly, this form of self-reliance builds confidence and reduces dependence on others. Islam encourages us to be strong and independent in a halal manner. Raising animals responsibly is one of the most honorable ways to do that. Moreover, when done with the right intention, keeping chickens becomes a form of worship. You may not think of it that way, but in Islam, every act done with a sincere intention for Allah's sake becomes an act of ibadah. If you are raising chickens to feed your family halal food, to save money, to reduce waste, or to give charity, all of these are noble intentions, and Allah in His mercy rewards based on intentions. Even placing a handful of grains for your chicken with the niyyah of feeding a creature of Allah can become a source of reward for you. There are also emotional and mental benefits. Taking care of animals teaches calmness, structure, and empathy. Waking up to collect eggs, making sure they are fed, and watching their simple lifestyle can be a form of therapy in a world full of stress. This peaceful rhythm of life brings emotional barakah, a type of tranquility that cannot be bought with wealth. Lastly, it's important to remember that the Prophet himself encouraged simplicity in lifestyle. He warned us against extravagance and always reminded us to be mindful of the needs of others. Chickens allow us to give back too. You can give eggs or meat to your neighbors, to the poor, or even to friends and family. This sharing strengthens bonds and increases love among people. And the Prophet told us, "Give gifts and you will love one another." So, the next time you see a chicken, don't just see an animal, see a teacher, a provider, a reminder of Allah's mercy. Through its quiet service, the chicken brings barakah into your home, trains your soul, and nourishes your body, all while reminding you that the simplest things, when used with gratitude, become the most powerful blessings. The horse is one of the most noble and majestic creatures created by Allah. Throughout Islamic history, the horse has been a symbol of honor, power, dignity, and spiritual strength. The Prophet Muhammad spoke highly of horses and even tied great reward to them. He said, "Goodness is tied to the forelocks of horses until the day of judgment." This hadith alone is enough to show that the horse is not just a means of transport or work, it is a source of ongoing blessing, barakah, and reward. In the early days of Islam, horses were a crucial part of a Muslim's life. They were used in battles for the sake of Allah, in trade journeys, and in the service of families and communities. But beyond their physical use, the presence of a horse brought with it a sense of discipline, responsibility, and nobility. Keeping a horse required care, training, feeding, and time. It was not a task for someone lazy or neglectful. In this way, raising and bonding with a horse trained the character of a person. It shaped them into someone more patient, strong, and aware of their duties. Even today, although we may not use horses as our daily means of transport, their presence continues to have powerful emotional and spiritual benefits. Horses have been shown to offer therapy for people with emotional trauma, disabilities, and stress-related conditions. There is something calming about being in the presence of a horse, something that reminds a person of the natural rhythm of life, of breathing, of slowing down, and of connecting with the creation of Allah. This connection itself is a form of barakah. In a world full of noise and rush, a horse brings back calmness, structure, and reflection. In Islamic tradition, horses were not only a sign of strength, but also of humility. A warrior could ride a powerful steed in the morning and feed it with his own hands in the evening. This balance between strength and service is what made the horse such a respected animal. It teaches its owner that power must be balanced with kindness, and that control must be earned through patience and understanding. Horses respond not to force but to consistency and trust. These are values that Islam teaches us in our daily lives, whether in leadership, family, or even in worship. Owning a horse is also a form of sadaqah. When you keep a horse for the sake of Allah, whether for defense, earning livelihood, or even for sport with good intention, you are rewarded for every bit of effort you put into it. There is a hadith in Sahih Bukhari, where the Prophet said that a person who keeps a horse for the path of Allah is rewarded for every handful of food he gives it, for every drop of water it drinks, and even for every step it takes. This shows how deeply Allah rewards those who engage with His creation for beneficial purposes. Nothing goes unnoticed. Even something as simple as brushing the horse, checking its hooves, or taking it for a ride can become an act of worship if your heart is sincere. The horse is also a reminder of the Quranic message. Allah mentions horses in the Quran in various places. In Surah Al-Adiyat, Allah swears by the galloping horses that charge into battle, by the racers panting, and the producers of sparks when striking. These verses highlight the beauty, power, and loyalty of the horse, especially when used in noble causes. The sound of their gallop, the shine of their hooves, and their courage in the face of danger is something Allah uses as an oath. This shows their high status in His creation. On a family level, keeping horses can bring people together. Training, feeding, and riding horses often becomes a shared activity. It builds bonds, creates memories, and teaches children responsibility. Instead of spending time on harmful or idle activities, young people can develop a deep respect for animals and nature. This connection can inspire them to become more grounded, more grateful, and more aware of Allah's blessings. Economically, horses can also be a source of income. People use them for halal sports, equine therapy, farming work, and even modest tourism. When done within the boundaries of Sharia, these practices can bring in lawful earnings and sustain families. At the same time, the presence of such a noble animal can uplift the energy of a place. The home or land where horses are kept often feels more alive, more peaceful, and more purposeful. In summary, the horse is not just an animal. It is a companion that brings with it immense reward, growth, and barakah. From emotional healing to spiritual development, from physical strength to moral lessons, the horse reflects many of the values that Islam calls us to embrace. If cared for with the right intention, the horse can truly be a gift that transforms a home and a heart, reminding us daily of Allah's beauty, power, and wisdom in His creation. Among the animals that bring value and blessing into a home, the dog often becomes a topic of debate in the Muslim community. It is true that Islam has placed certain rulings around the presence of dogs, especially regarding purification and the angel's entry into homes. However, it is also true that Islam is a balanced religion, one that looks at intention, purpose, and benefit. The Prophet Muhammad taught us through his actions and words that when something is used for a legitimate, beneficial reason, it carries value, and when it is misused or abused, it leads to harm. The same applies to the dog. While a dog should not be kept indoors for companionship as we might keep a cat, Islam allows and even encourages the keeping of dogs for specific purposes, such as guarding, herding livestock, and hunting. There is a famous hadith where the Prophet said, "Whoever keeps a dog, except for a dog for herding livestock, hunting, or guarding the fields, his reward will be decreased each day by 1 qirat." This hadith is often quoted only partially, but it's important to reflect on what it truly means. The exception in the hadith is clear. When a dog is kept for a valid reason such as security or livelihood, then it is not only permitted, but also recognized by the Prophet as necessary. This teaches us that Islam does not prohibit dogs entirely, but places boundaries to preserve cleanliness, spirituality, and health. When a guard dog is kept outside the home, fulfilling its duty of protecting the household or property, it becomes a silent protector. This security is a blessing from Allah. In a time when crime is increasing and safety is uncertain in many parts of the world, having a dog for protection is not just wise, it is responsible. A secure home is a peaceful home, and peace is part of Rizq. People sleep better, worry less, and live more confidently when they know their property and family are being guarded. This emotional comfort is itself a form of barakah. Additionally, caring for a guard dog responsibly becomes a source of reward. Islam always emphasizes the rights of animals. Even if a dog is kept for guarding, it must be fed properly, sheltered from extreme weather, and not abused. When these rights are fulfilled, and the animal is serving a beneficial purpose, then the interaction becomes one of reward, not sin. There's a well-known story the Prophet told of a man who gave water to a thirsty dog by climbing into a well, using his shoe to fill water, and helping the animal drink. Because of this small act of mercy, Allah forgave him all his sins. Imagine the ongoing reward for someone who feeds a guard dog daily, who ensures it is safe and well treated, and who benefits from its protection. On the other hand, Islam also protects the sanctity of spiritual environments. The reason dogs are not permitted inside living or prayer spaces is because of the impurity of their saliva and the guidance that angels do not enter a home where there is a dog kept without necessity. This spiritual barrier is something that must be respected. However, it does not cancel out the practical benefit that a dog can provide when kept outside in its proper place. So a Muslim can find a balance, maintain their home as a place of purity and prayer, while also keeping a dog outside to ensure safety. There is also wisdom in how a dog teaches us discipline and consistency. A guard dog must be trained, exercised, fed on time, and taught to obey commands. This requires regular effort and patience from the owner. It becomes a form of responsibility that sharpens the mind and heart. Raising any animal with dedication reminds us that leadership and trust are not given freely. They are earned through service and care. In many rural Muslim communities around the world, dogs are still used effectively to protect sheep, goats, and farmland. These people live simple, humble lives, but their homes are filled with barakah because they use what Allah has given them wisely. They do not overstep boundaries, nor do they fall into extremes. This is the balance Islam loves, moderation with purpose. In conclusion, when a dog is kept with the right intention and within the guidelines of Islam, it can become a source of protection, emotional comfort, and even reward. It is not the dog that brings impurity, it is how we handle the situation that determines whether the result is barakah or burden. If a Muslim keeps a dog for guarding, treats it kindly, feeds it regularly, and keeps it outside the main living area, then that dog becomes a silent soldier at the gate, a reason for the family to sleep peacefully, and a source of reward written in their book of deeds. Among the creatures that exist in our environment, there are some that bring benefit and barakah when cared for properly, and others that bring harm and even spiritual consequences when ignored. One such harmful creature is the rat. While it may seem like just another pest, the presence of rats in a home is far more serious than many people realize. In Islam, cleanliness is not just a personal preference, it is a reflection of faith. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Cleanliness is half of faith." This means that anything that compromises cleanliness in the home can also affect the spiritual state of those living in it. Rats are among those creatures that not only destroy physical property, but also disturb the atmosphere of barakah in a household. Rats are known to spread disease, contaminate food, and cause damage to furniture, clothing, and infrastructure. They are not just unclean in a physical sense, but they are also associated with environments of neglect, disorder, and decay. When rats appear in a home, they often signal that something is being left unattended, whether it's food left out, waste not being managed, or a general lack of care in maintaining hygiene. In such conditions, barakah begins to disappear. Food that was once a blessing starts becoming a source of harm. Sleep becomes disturbed. Health starts declining. All of this starts from allowing something harmful to live and grow in your space. Islam teaches us that the home should be a place where angels feel welcome. The Prophet told us that angels do not enter a home that has filth, foul smell, or harmful and unclean environments. Now imagine a home where rats are left to roam freely. These animals leave behind droppings, urine, and bacteria in areas where food is stored or eaten. This not only drives away angels, but it opens the door to the shayateen. These dark forces thrive in filth, disorder, and neglect. When a household is not maintained with care, it becomes spiritually weak. Arguments become frequent, money seems to vanish, and there is no peace. People begin to feel a heaviness, a sadness, and they don't know why. But sometimes it starts with something as simple as ignoring the presence of a rat or failing to address what it symbolizes. Rats are also creatures of theft and destruction. They sneak into food storage, chew through bags, damage clothes, and ruin books and furniture. They are not just eating what is left over, they are actively causing loss. This mirrors a deeper message. When something that causes destruction is allowed to stay in your home, it will gradually eat away at your rizq, your peace, and your well-being. Some scholars have said that the presence of such pests, when not dealt with, can be a sign that the home lacks protection, both physical and spiritual. There's also a psychological toll. The fear, discomfort, and disgust that comes with having rats in the house affects the mood of the family. Children feel unsafe. Mothers feel anxious. Fathers feel frustrated. The home no longer feels like a peaceful place. It begins to feel like a battleground. And this environment slowly eats away at the joy and harmony that should exist within a Muslim household. All of this, from one small animal that most people overlook or ignore. In contrast, Islam teaches us to be proactive. If something harmful enters your home, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual, you deal with it. The Prophet encouraged us to seal our food, to keep our homes clean, and to guard ourselves from all forms of filth and harm. He even instructed us to say specific du'as before entering the home, eating, and before sleeping, because protection of the home is a sacred responsibility. Allowing rats or any harmful creature to remain unchecked is like leaving the door open for chaos to enter. There's also an economic loss associated with rats. They waste food, damage items, and force you to spend money on repairs and replacements. Over time, this leads to unnecessary expenses. So what may have started as one or two small rats can end up costing a family hundreds or even thousands in food and material loss. All the while they wonder where their money is going, unaware that the harm is happening slowly and silently within their own walls. Ultimately, a rat may seem like a minor inconvenience, but in reality, it reflects deeper issues of neglect, disorder, and spiritual imbalance. A home that allows such destruction to persist without action is a home where blessings can be lost. That is why it's so important from an Islamic perspective to maintain a clean, protected, and well-ordered living space. Removing rats, sealing food, cleaning regularly, and reciting protective du'as are not just health measures, they are acts of faith. By doing so, you are not only protecting your belongings, but also safeguarding your home from spiritual poverty and calling barakah back into your life. In Islam, every act begins with intention. The value of what you do, even something as simple as feeding an animal or cleaning a space, is judged not just by the action itself, but by what you intended when doing it. The same principle applies to keeping animals in the home. Whether it's a cat, a chicken, a horse, or even a dog for security, the presence of the animal is not just about the benefit it brings. It's also about why you chose to keep it in the first place. If your intention is correct and aligned with Islamic principles, then every moment you spend with that animal can become an act of worship, a source of reward, and a way to invite barakah into your home. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Actions are judged by intentions, and everyone will be rewarded according to what they intended." This hadith is a golden rule for a believer. It applies in every aspect of life. including how we interact with the animals under our care. If a person keeps a cat merely for decoration or status, to show off to guests, that may not bring the same blessings as someone who keeps a cat, to earn reward through kindness and to follow the sunnah of the Prophet. The external action might be the same, but the internal purpose is completely different. One earns reward and brings barakah, the other might gain nothing beyond a temporary worldly image. Similarly, raising chickens for daily eggs can be either a worldly task or a spiritual act. If your intention is to feed your family from halal and clean sources, to reduce waste, and to share your provision with others when possible, then every egg your chicken lays becomes a sadaqah, a blessing that multiplies. But if you only keep the animal with a heart full of greed, not caring for its well-being, and ignoring the ethics of Islamic animal treatment, then the blessings are lost, even if the benefit remains. Allah looks at the heart, not just the outcome. Even when it comes to dogs, which are often misunderstood in our communities, intention plays a crucial role. A dog kept for security, guarding one's family or farmland, is not only allowed in Islam but also recognized as necessary and wise. But again, the reason matters. Is it for fear of the people, or is it because you understand that protection is part of your responsibility? Are you feeding the dog properly, showing it mercy, ensuring it has shelter? If yes, then your care becomes an act of worship. If no, then even that which is allowed can become a source of sin if you neglect your intention and your duties. There's also a powerful lesson in intention when it comes to animals that cause harm, like rats. While no one intentionally keeps rats in their home, some people become careless. They don't take steps to clean, to seal food, or to remove pests. That neglect reflects a deeper problem of laziness or a lack of awareness. But once a person becomes mindful, and they take action to clean their home, remove harmful creatures, and protect their family from physical and spiritual harm, even that becomes a form of ibadah. Removing filth for the sake of Allah, maintaining cleanliness because the Prophet loved cleanliness, and ensuring your children are safe, all of this counts as worship when done with sincere intention. The beauty of Islam is that nothing is wasted. Not a single grain you feed to a bird, not a single cup of water you give to a thirsty animal, not a single moment you spend cleaning your home with the aim of making it pleasing to Allah. If your heart is in the right place, everything you do becomes valuable in the sight of Allah. This is the secret of Barakah. It is not about how much you have, but how much benefit and peace comes from what you have. You could have one animal in your home, but if you care for it with sincerity, it could become a means of endless reward. You could have a clean, modest space, but if you keep it with love and for the sake of Allah, it could become a place where angels descend. In contrast, a person could have many animals or a large home, but if they do it to impress others or neglect the basic rights of Allah's creation, then their actions may become a burden rather than a blessing. So we must always ask ourselves, why am I doing this? Is it for the sake of Allah? Is it to follow the Sunnah? Is it to build a home of peace, mercy, and gratitude? When you keep animals in your home with the right intention, they become more than creatures. They become your teachers, your means to earn reward, your reminder of Allah's mercy, and your helpers in building a life filled with barakah. It all begins with your heart and what you hope to achieve, not just in this world, but in the next. In the teachings of Islam, intention is the foundation, but action is the proof. When it comes to keeping animals in the home or on one's property, the decision to do so must be accompanied by a sincere commitment to treat them with the mercy, justice, and care that Allah has commanded. It is not enough to have good intentions while neglecting the responsibilities that come with them. Islam is a complete way of life, and it teaches us to live with ihsan, excellence, in every aspect, including our relationship with animals. The way a person treats animals, especially those under their care, reflects the condition of their heart and the level of their taqwa, their consciousness of Allah. The Prophet Muhammad set the ultimate example. He taught that every living creature has rights. In one narration he said, "Whoever is kind to the creatures of God is kind to himself." This statement captures the essence of our responsibility. Animals are not beneath us in importance. They are part of the same creation, serving a purpose in this world, and they are under our protection when we bring them into our homes. Feeding them, sheltering them, and tending to their needs are not acts of charity only, they are duties. And when we fulfill these duties with sincerity, they become acts of worship. The Prophet once told a story of a woman who entered hell because she locked up a cat and neither fed it nor allowed it to find food. If neglecting one small cat carried such consequences, imagine the reward for doing the opposite, caring for even the smallest creature out of compassion and responsibility. Every animal brings with it a different lesson. A cat teaches patience and gentleness. A chicken teaches discipline and routine. A horse teaches strength, loyalty, and training. A guard dog teaches responsibility and protection. These animals don't just provide benefits, they shape your character. And when you raise them properly, you're not only creating a better environment in your home, but you're also refining your own soul. Islam values this transformation. The outer action of taking care of an animal leads to an inner purification of the heart, and that is where true barakah begins. At the same time, Islam warns us about injustice. Mistreating animals is not just wrong, it is a sin. Hitting them, starving them, using them for entertainment without purpose, or keeping them confined in small, dirty spaces, all of this is against the teachings of our religion. The Prophet taught that animals are communities just like us. They have feelings, needs, and even a form of tasbih. They glorify Allah in ways we cannot hear. When you mistreat an animal, you are going against a creature that is constantly in the remembrance of its creator. There is also a deep spiritual consequence to the way we treat animals. When a home becomes a place of mercy, even toward the smallest of Allah's creatures, it becomes a home that attracts angels and divine tranquility. But when a home becomes a place of cruelty or neglect, even if unintentionally, it begins to repel that peace. Barakah does not stay in a place where injustice is normalized, whether it is toward people or animals. So, the Muslim must remain alert, not just to what is visible, but to what is happening beneath the surface. Are the animals in your care healthy, clean, fed, and safe? Or are they ignored, caged for no reason, or left to suffer quietly? Maintaining justice with animals also teaches a person how to be just in greater matters. The one who learns to be merciful to animals becomes more merciful to people. The one who wakes early to feed the chickens or clean the stable learns the value of structure and hard work. These values then spill over into other parts of life: family, worship, work, and community. This is how something as seemingly simple as keeping animals, when done with care and justice, becomes a school of character development and spiritual growth. Furthermore, Islam calls us to use everything we have for a noble purpose. If you keep animals, ask yourself, how can I use this opportunity to benefit others? Can I share the eggs with neighbors? Can I let my children learn responsibility through caring for them? Can I donate their meat to the poor if permissible? Can I help someone heal through interaction with these creatures? These questions help us move from passive ownership to active benefit. And that's where the real reward lies, not just in what you receive, but in what you give through what you've been entrusted with. In the end, every animal you keep is a trust from Allah. Whether it brings food, protection, companionship, or even just a smile, it has been placed in your life for a reason. If you fulfill its rights, maintain its dignity, and treat it with